Vice President Shatima advocates binational commission with UK. Reps members applaud Tinubu over appointment of new service chiefs. IGP Egbetokun decorates DIGs Bala Chiroma, Frank Mba, others. $100 billion targets for climate poverty funds achieved. And on the foreign scene, 30 migrants feared dead in Canary Islands disaster. And in the world of sport, Bendel Insurance beat Enugu Rangers 1-0 to lift the trophy. Details now. Vice President Kashim Shettima has urged for stronger bilateral relations between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, that is the UK, to enhance trade between the two nations. Shettima made this call during a courtesy visit by Richard Montgomery, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, at the presidential villa in Abuja. Highlighting the long-standing relationship between Nigeria and the UK, the Vice President emphasized the need to establish a binational commission to further strengthen their ties. Shettima said the commission can be instrumental in accelerating the business relationship between the two countries. Recognizing the proximity between the two nations, Shettima underscored the importance of increasing trade volume, which currently represents less than 5% of Nigeria's import and export activities. He expressed his commitment to creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in Nigeria. Regarding security, Shettima acknowledged the challenges faced by the nation and stressed the adoption of both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches to address them. Still from the presidency, Vice President Kashim Shettima is meeting Bill Gates, the Aliko Dangote, and members of the National Governors Forum behind closed doors at the State House, Abuja. The meeting, which is part of engagements lined up for Gates' visit to Nigeria and the Niger Republic. It comes only 72 hours after Gates and Dangote meet President Bola Tinubu on Monday at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja. Although the agenda of Thursday's meeting is not yet known, it was gathered that the attendees would consider areas of collaboration between both foundations and the Nigerian government, especially in the health and education sectors. Gates is visiting Nigeria to meet leaders and partners tackling health and development challenges. And now let's have you know that member representing Oriade Federal Constituency of Osun State, Busayo Oke, has applauded President Bola Tinubu over the appointment of the new service chiefs. The Acting Inspector General of Police, that is IGP, and the Acting Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, that is the NCS. It will be recalled that Tinubu on Monday approved the appointments. Oke, who is the immediate past chairman of the House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee, congratulated the new appointees and urged them to deliver on their mandate and restore the country to its former glory, where lives are sacred, investment, economic and opportunities, and political stability flourishes. He added that the appointments are laudable and commendable going by the track records of the appointments and the appointees. They should hit the ground running immediately by addressing squarely all the security challenges facing the country as a nation. There should be no further excuses for security lapses again. Nigeria needs absolute peace for meaningful development of the country. The Inspector General of Police, that is the IGP, Egbetokun Adeolu, has decorated newly promoted senior police officers with their new ranks amidst cheers from their families, friends, and professional colleagues. This is sequel to the recent promotion approved by the Police Service Commission, that is the PSC, on the basis of merit, requisite experience, years of dedicated service, and academic records. This was made known in a statement signed by the Force Public Relations Officer CSP Olumuyiwa Adejobi in Abuja. According to the statement, a total of 38 senior police officers were decorated, comprising Deputy Inspector General of Police DIG Bala Chiroma and Frank Mba, 14 Assistant Inspectors General of Police, including AIGs Abubakar Lawal, Alhassan Aminu, amongst others, as well as 22 Commissioners of Police. In attendance were the Executive Governor of Imo State, His Excellency Hope Uzodinma, the Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Akon Etem, the Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin, and other distinguished members of the National Assembly. The Inspector General of Police, while congratulating the newly promoted officers, charged them to discharge the schedules of their new ranks within the dictates of the rule of law. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria said airlifting of pilgrims to the Holy Land will end on Saturday, the 24th of June 2023. The Commission has asked intending pilgrims yet to be airlifted to reach the nearest Pilgrims Welfare Agency for information, confirmation, and subsequent dispatch for the 2023 Hajj pilgrimage. This was contained in a statement signed by NACON's Assistant Director Public Affairs, Fatima Usara, today. Outbound movement of pilgrims from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia would be winding up in a few hours' time. It has been a 27-day marathon aboard 170 flights so far into Jeddah and Medina airports, conveying about 71,000 Nigerian pilgrims and still counting. While appreciating stakeholders within and outside the country who had contributed to the success of the exercise, the Commission explained that while other contracted airlines such as Aero Contractors, Air Peace, and Max Air had completed their outbound airlifts, Asman Air had one more flight to conclude, while Flynas would close the year's airlift due to technical hitches that stopped its movement on occasions. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, that is the NAFDAC, has made public its findings on the investigation into the presence of ethylene oxide or its metabolite in noodles and their seasonings, saying all noodles in Nigeria are safe. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Christiana Adeyeye, who made this known in Lagos, said ethylene oxide or its derivative was not found in any of the instant noodles produced in Nigeria and their seasonings. The level of mycotoxin and the heavy metals were within the international acceptable limit. Therefore, the noodles made in Nigeria are very safe to eat. NAFDAC investigation was occasioned by the recalls of the Ministries of Health in Malaysia and Taiwan on account of the alleged presence of ethylene oxide, a compound associated with an increased risk of cancer. Adeyeye said samples of chicken-flavored instant noodles of various brands and the seasonings were drawn from the production facilities across the country. This was to ensure that the investigation was robust, covering other instant noodles brands manufactured in Nigeria besides the implicated brand. And now let's get you to know the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, has said the rich countries had met a target of reallocating $100 billion of funds from the institution to battle climate change and poverty in developing countries. Special drawings rights are foreign exchange reserve assets awarded to countries based on how much they contribute to the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF. The idea, which some European countries resisted, was for the wealthier countries to lend these foreign exchange reserve assets to the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, which could in turn lend them to developing economies. Ahead of the summit, France and Japan announced that they would redeploy 30% of their special drawing rights for this purpose. Considering the upcoming event, IMF has said they are still in need of another $40 billion to hit the target. The plan, first announced in 2019, was for wealthier countries to recycle $100 billion in IMF special drawing rights and for vulnerable economies. Ahead of the summit, France and Japan have announced that they would redeploy 30% of their SDRs for this purpose. The People's Democratic Party, that is the PDP, and its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has called a digital forensic expert to testify in aid of its petition against the president, Bola Tinubu. The PDP and Atiku are protesting the declaration of Tinubu as the president by the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is the INEC, at the Presidential Elections Petition Court, that is the PEPC. During the resumed hearing of their petition, the 26th witness in the petition led by the evidence from the Petitioners' Counsel, Chris Uche, submitted a report of his investigation carried out on the bimodal voter accreditation system that is the BVAS. The report was subsequently admitted as evidence and marked as exhibits despite objections by the respondents in the matter. Therefore and thereafter, the petitioners tendered a certificate of compliance to indicate that the report has complied with the Evidence Act. You are listening to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. After the break, foreign stories. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. And now let's get on to the foreign news. More than 30 migrants have drowned after their boat sank in the Atlantic Ocean off the Canary Islands, according to Spanish authorities. Rescue workers found the bodies of a minor and a man and rescued 24 other people, but did not know how many people were on board. The incident places fresh scrutiny on Europe's response to migration after a boat sank off Greece last week. Elena Garzon from Walking Borders said that 39 people had drowned, including 4 women and a baby, while Alarm Phone said 35 people were missing. Both organizations monitor migrant boats and receive calls from people on board or their relatives. The boat sank about 100 miles, which is 160 kilometers southeast of Gran Canaria on Wednesday. It is torture to have 60 people, including 6 women and a baby, waiting for more than 12 hours for a rescue in a flimsy inflatable boat that can sink. A Spanish rescue service ship, the Gardemar Calliope, was only about an hour's sail from the dinghy on Tuesday evening. The ship did not aid the dinghy because the operation had been taken over by Moroccan officials, which dispatched a patrol boat that arrived on Wednesday morning, 10 hours after it has been spotted by a Spanish rescue plane. Still on the foreign scene, Chinese weather authorities said Beijing has recorded its hottest June day in more than 60 years, with the mercury touching 41.1 Celsius. The city is experiencing prolonged heat wave with extreme temperatures to persist until the end of June. Several monthly heat records have been broken around China this year, prompting fears of an energy crunch. Last month, the country's largest city, Shanghai, with 25 million people living on the East Coast, recorded its hottest May Day in a century. More than 21 million people live in Beijing, the nation's capital in the north. Authorities earlier issued an orange alert, the second most severe weather warning, saying that temperatures could reach 39 Celsius in the days to Saturday. The National Weather Bureau also issued a hot stroke alert last week, a fortnight earlier than in previous years. Local authorities in Beijing, Tianjin, and other cities in northern and eastern China advised people to spend outdoor work during the hottest parts of the day and to get medical help if they show symptoms of a heat stroke. And now let's talk sports. Bendel Insurance FC of Benin have won the 2023 Federation Cup with a lone goal victory over Rangers International FC of Enugu. The match was played in the main bowl of the Stephen Keshi Stadium, Asaba, on Wednesday. The only goal of the encounter came in the last minute of added time of the first half through a penalty converted by Insurance Imade Osarenko. Speaking after the match, Insurance FC coach Monde Odige expressed satisfaction over the outcome of the encounter, which he described as a tough game. Notable among the dignitaries who watched the final are the Governor of Delta, Sheriff Oberevori, and Deputy Governor of Edo, Philip Schwaibu. Still talking sport, Olympic chief